So my name is Tammy LaPlante, and I've been working for the Whatcom County Library System for 26 years. I'm the Children's Services Coordinator now, but I've had many different roles. I started out as an assistant and just kind of worked my way up from there. But my history with the Whatcom County Library System goes way back beyond that 26 years. So I grew up in Whatcom County. I was a half a mile away from what was the Pleasant Valley Library, and it was located in an old abandoned schoolhouse. So on the corner of Bay Road and Kickerville was an old abandoned schoolhouse on one side of the road, and across the street on the other corner was an old abandoned church. And as kids, we used to play in those buildings. Half of the schoolhouse was condemned, so we would play in that part, but then the library was in a part where you went up a few stairs, and that part of the building wasn't condemned. So to put it in perspective, that library was smaller than our old Point Roberts library. Square footage wise, I don't know. And as a kid, everything usually seems bigger, but I remember that being very tiny. I remember the shelves that I could choose my books from was maybe a section like this big, and that was it. So very small children's area. But they had everything I wanted, and they must have had some kind of a grid system back then because they did get new things. It wasn't always the same items, so that was kind of great. I feel like in some ways the library saved my life, really, in some ways, because there were no kids my age out there, very remote area. So really, I just read all the time. So I would walk that half a mile down to the library with a bag, fill it up, walk home, and just read all the time. I remember the librarian's name was Mrs. Holmes. She lived actually across the street from us, and she was great, always very helpful in helping me find things. I still have the summer reading certificates from 1964 to 1969 that I brought with me today to be scanned. And on the back is all the books that I read, which was pretty cool to see. My mom wrote all those on there. So I would have been 7 in 1964 and then up to 1969. So that was my last one because then I was 12 and I was too old to participate in summer reading as a child. And I don't remember there being a teen program, but I believe that it was right around that time. I don't remember the year that they condemned the whole building, but I remember it happening, and then the bookmobile started coming as a stop on that corner instead. So, but I know I was older then as a teenager. I didn't visit the library as much because I was then also checking out stuff from school. And to go back a little bit too, when I was in Custer Elementary School, the bookmobile used to come there. We didn't have a library for many years, at least not a working one. And so the bookmobile came, and I remember going on there and checking out books too, which was really cool. So I have this real history with the bookmobile as a child, and then again with my kids because the bookmobile came to Custer Post Office, and that's where I would bring my kids to participate in summer reading and just checking out books. So trying to think of what else.
How often did the bookmobile come to Custer School when you were there?
I have a sense that it must have come at least every couple weeks. Because I remember, it must have been about every couple weeks, every 2 or 3 weeks. And then we come back and we return the ones we had and get new ones. And that was the old bookmobile. I can still picture that in my mind, and I did see some pictures when I was looking in there.
Yeah.
So I think about, every 2 to 3 weeks it would come. And then at some point we did get our own library at school at Custer. So, and when my boys went to the same school, there was a library then too. So the bookmobiles. I don't know exactly what year it stopped going. A lot of that stuff's kind of fuzzy for me, but that was what set me up. I always knew that I was going to be a librarian because that was the best thing about my life. My mom was a big reader, maybe more than she should have been, to the point of, kids, go outside, I'm going to read, don't bother me. But I always saw my mom with her nose in a book, always. And so when I got old enough to do that, and then my nose was always in a book too. And we were pretty poor. I mean, my dad was a dairy farmer, so we had at that time, a 60-acre dairy farm. He added some more acreage on later. But we were super poor, right? We didn't really go anywhere because my dad couldn't afford to pay anybody to milk for him. So until my brother was old enough to do that, he never took off. So really, for me, books were my gateway to, the outside world. I mean, I got to learn about all kinds of different things from books. And I do remember getting to the age where I really wanted to read all those teeny, romancy kind of books too. I remember going through that phase. And whatever I needed, the library had it. So I can't tell you how grateful I am for this library system, because I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for that.
Wow. So you participated in the summer reading program as a kid.
I did.
And now
I work with children in the summer reading program. So I know, I've kind of come full circle. So I did it as a child, and then my kids participated, and then, and even from when I started in 1993, July of 1993, I was just working 15 hours a week as an assistant to Catherine Surratt, who was our children's services coordinator back then. And part of my job even then was to help get things ready for summer reading. And then as years went on, I had more and more responsibility. And at one point, that was my job, was to organize and facilitate and run the summer reading program for kids. And it was super fun. Our program has simplified so much over the years. So going back to when I was a child, basically you got a certificate. On the back you wrote the names of all the books you read. I believe there were 26 lines on there. You were required to read in different genres, which I always loved because that just seemed fun to me. I have to read. I would never read this book otherwise, but that was fun. But that's all you got, was a certificate and a seal. And I looked forward to that gold seal so much, right? And that, and it was always just named Mary Poppins Summer Reading, Henry Huggins Summer Reading, just, it was always book character titles. And then when my boys were doing a summer reading, things had changed a little bit. You still did get certificates. You really didn't always get the gold seal, but they gave out prizes more then. And then when I first started doing it, we were giving just little prizes out. And then as time went on, we did things like, I remember one year, we did this for 2 or 3 years. We would come up with some science experiments or just fun activities, science-y activities, and we would put everything you needed in a baggie and hand them out every week. So every week when you came to the library, you would get one of these things to take home and do. We started that because we used to participate in the collaborative summer reading program, and so they provided everything. I mean, they provided program ideas. You could buy the prizes from them. They had t-shirts you could buy, which we always did, and then wore them at work. So we would do that and give out all of those kind of prizes. But the one year was a science theme, and so like it was Fizz Boom Pop or something like that, or Fizz Boom Read. And so, and it was so popular, we did that for a few more years. We gave out a lot of cheap plastic stuff over the years that, early on that wasn't such a concern as it is now, but as more awareness about plastic, happened, as we became more aware of that, we decided we didn't want to give out all that cheap plastic stuff anymore. So we were trying to come up with other ideas, and our dream was always to be able to give kids a brand new book as a prize, but we just didn't have the money for that, and weren't able to find funding. So, but that dream became a reality when Tom Barthelmess started working for the system. He actually made arrangements with the foundation to give us funding. So now, and it's been this way for several years, every child who participates in summer reading and reaches their goal, which their goal can be whatever they decide it's going to be, it can be one book, but they get to choose a brand new book for free to keep forever. So it's the best, really the best. It's because we really believe that the reward for reading is more reading. So I feel like I have seen such a shift in the way that we think about serving youth, and I'm very proud. I've always been proud of the work that we've done at every step of the way, but I'm especially proud now of the work we're doing. So I've been asked about the years that Andy Waters was our director, and I will say that was a very hard time for staff. We had just had an amazing director in John Halliday, and John left, and we actually ended up with Andy mostly, I believe, because John knew him and made a recommendation. And John was beloved, and so everyone pretty much trusted his recommendation, and so Andy got the job. We did do, I remember Joan Aroldi applied at the same time that Andy did, and they came and spoke. We rented a big hall and let the public come and staff come to hear them both speak. And I will confess that I was impressed by Andy at that point in time when he spoke, but it was just, I don't want to say too many negative things about him, because he did have some things going on that I think were beyond his control, but it was very quickly apparent that he was not up to the job, and morale in our system plummeted, I will say. Hard to not have a strong leader, right? And so it was up to us then at that point. I don't remember how it got started, but we started the process of trying to remove him as our director. And you can imagine that that's not a feel-good thing to have to do, right? To have to do that to anyone is hard, but we did, and eventually the board, we let him go. So, and then I remember Sigrid calling Joan and saying, Andy is gone, the job is open again, we would love to have you come back and apply. And she wasn't sure, but she did. And so we gave her the job this time, which in retrospect we should have done from the beginning. But you learn some things, right, from bad things that happen. And but yeah, rough time. So